instance is connected to my Oracle support. It looks at my Oracle support and looks at all the newly available updates that Oracle has that are applicable to your environment. We won't just notify you of everything that there is, thereby cluttering the messages. And then you will then be able to, administrator will then be able to decide whether they want to download and deploy or not. And these entities, as I said, could be varying from plugins to connectors, deployment procedures to agent software to compliance content to a wide range of things. By the way, we do support offline mode. There are a bunch of customers we know run in offline mode, meaning they don't connect their OMS to the internet. So we do support the workflow and mechanism where they can go off, download the update offline, bring it over and then import it. This is for the updates that Oracle publishes. Now, a partner went off and developed some extensible entities like a plugin or a connector or anything else. They will be able to import into the EM just as similar to how you would import an offline update. It just happens that the source of that update is not Oracle, somebody else, right? And then the rest of the workflow remains the same. So at a high level, notify, there is a self-update job that runs every day in the system. You can always also initiate on demand whenever you choose to. And that looks up at Oracle, my Oracle support connection, sees if there is any new update, notifies, you can schedule emails and all that to the administrators by rules. And then the administrator can review that, decide if they want to download and deploy them. Once it comes to the point of applying the update, the mechanism will be different. Plugin will mean, it will mean different thing to apply a plugin, to applying a connector, to applying a compliance standard, to applying an assembly or whatever. And the workflow, an appropriate workflow will be kicked off of that. So essentially the workflow, the experience for enterprise manager, end user, and administrator will be the consistent thing. The list below is a bunch of updates that we have, entity types that we support today. I'm not going to go into these details, but there's a lot of functionality in that, and we are committed to evolving this as we go on, meaning you can expect more and more entity types to even come, thereby making the platform more and more extensible as we go forward. So let's spend a little bit more time on plugins, because that happens to be, as I said, the most comprehensive update that there is for Enterprise Manager. This brings the most rich functionality into the EM. Others, as I said, bring some point functionalities, right? So a plugin can be a target manager plugin or what we call a solution manager plugin. Target manager plugin manages targets, like the classic plugins that you know of, like database, middleware, and that type of stuff. Solution manager is something that is a new concept that we define this release, where we are able to build some interesting solutions like self-service with cloud, which leverages, let's say, the target management from virtualization plugin to provide infrastructure as a service, or database as a service that leverages the capability from database plugin. So the plugins can have dependencies on other plugins. So this slide quickly recaps what Target Manager plugin does. It actually contains everything that's required for managing the plugins, targets, rather the jobs, the target definitions, the reports, the compliance, the discovery, and everything that is pertinent to managing that set of targets is bundled into a single plugin archive, and that's your Target Manager plugin, right? Same with Solution Management plugin. You can even also, my Oracle support integration is one of the solution management, because the solution it's offering is it's connecting to Oracle, looking at new patch recommendations or whatever else, and bringing it down to your enterprise management. It's actually offering some solution that enables better management of your targets. So there you can expect to see more and more of these as we go along. Now a little bit more deep dive into what a plugin has. So a plugin is a single archive file. When you look at it, when you download it, when you do an offline import or whatever, you look at it as a single OPAR, plugin archive. It has an OMS side content, which is the brains of the plugin, meaning all the code that is required for the UI code, the target types, the jobs, the reports, and everything. And it's got the agent side. Now the agent side of the plugin is pushed to the agents only when you need to. Unlike in the past releases where every agent had everything that is required, and thereby making the agent bigger and fatter, agent side content is only pushed when we need it, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. So this is a very important thing that you should know about 12. This is one of the key changes that we had done. When an agent is pushed in 12c, all the discovery content about every discovery content of every plugin that is deployed in your OMS is packaged and pushed. It happens seamlessly. So meaning agent, when it is pushed, has got a core agent and all the discovery plugins that this EM instance is aware of. So what it does to us is that the agent can go and discover the new targets without really explicit user initiation or whatever, and they will show up in OMS as what we call not yet managed targets. What not yet managed targets is that agent has detected the existence of these targets that we understand in EM, in your EM deployment, by virtue of you having deployed the plugins on the OMS. We understand how to manage, but we are not yet managing them. We would like administrator to come and promote or acknowledge that they do want to manage them. And the act of promoting could be providing the monitoring credentials for DBS NMP for database and whatever else it means, right? Because just discovering the database is not enough to start monitoring. We need some credentials to monitor. Now, when you promote, we detect if the agent does not have the management content for the plugin, because we have like all these plugins, right? We automatically seamlessly push the management content to the plugin. So all of this happens seamlessly. So if you look at it, when agent gets pushed, appropriate discovery content gets there. Agent finds out the new targets, and the OMS from the administrator can decide if they want to manage or not. And then as part of the pushing, we actually push the management content and the target starts to get monitored. This is one of the things that makes the agent lighter weight, because we don't ship every code that there is to ship. It also makes the lifecycle easier because we don't have to patch that you don't need to and that type of stuff. There's another way, it's just so you know, for full disclosure, you should also be able to deploy the plugins to a bunch of agents in bulk. You don't have to do this like promotion thing and push the plugin. You could go to the plugin manager, push a plugin to a bunch of agents, and have that agent take the plugin. That is always supported. Another important concept to understand is the plugin version. This is a piece of information I think we should. I think you'll have to make it as part of how you understand your EM deployment. Plugins have different versions from that other framework. As I said earlier, the framework version that we shipped, the platform version that we shipped in 12, the release 2 is 12.02. But the plugins that are bundled with it are variety of versions. Database is 12.02 plugin, middleware is 12.03, SSA, the cloud application is 12.04. It so happened that some of those plugins revved more frequently between the time we shipped in October, the base release, to now. So the plugins have completely different life cycle. And you must always deploy the plugin on the OMS first. It is absolutely not possible, and it is absolutely not recommended to deploy the plugin on the agent. Generally, the workflows don't allow you to do that, but if for some reason you package an agent, RPM it or whatever, and go and deploy an agent and point to an OMS, if we find an agent reporting a plugin that the OMS is not currently deployed, we block those agents. Going back to what Mark said about OMS being the source of the truth. OMS is the source of the truth. Anything that must be deployed on the OMS first, and then the agents. And the OMS side of the plugin has to be higher version than that of the agent. We do support the ability to have OMS and different versions of the plugins in different agents, because we understand that you can't deploy a given version on every agent on one go. So you update a newer version of the plugin on the OMS, and you stagger your deployment of that plugin version to all the agents according to how your business permits. But in general, we would highly recommend you to get to the latest version of the plugin everywhere just to leverage the newer capabilities. But having a lower version on the agent is definitely supported. And plugin manager is how you manage it all. So just like what self-update is to any extensible entity, which is the gateway to the system, we built a functionality called plugin manager, which is tightly integrated with self-update, and it gives the holistic view of all the plugins that are deployed in your environment. What's available out there at Oracle, what's downloaded in your environment, what's applied in your environment. These are three distinct concepts. Like, it's possible that a version is available that you either have downloaded or not, and you either have deployed it or not. And you should be able to deploy that through UI. We have a complete automation for that, as well as EMCLI if you want to do some kind of a bulk and do the scripting and all that. This is probably one of the things I want most of you to kind of go back with a note on this. Essentially, plugin information is, in my opinion, the most important information that you have to know about the plugin. So from the plugin manager, you don't have to necessarily deploy your plugin or even download your plugin for that matter. When self-update goes and finds the availability of a new plugin, it brings down some metadata about the plugin. So your EM deployment knows about all the plugins that there are, as long as you are connected. You don't even have to download or deploy. you should be able to go to the plugin information screen of the plugin manager, select your plugin and look at the information. You'll be able to see what this plugin can do to you, to your environment. What versions of targets it supports, what platforms or OS platforms it's certified, what are the dependencies of this plugin, what other plugins this plugin depends on, and who else depend on this plugin, right? And it also tells you how this compares with the plugin version that's currently deployed in your environment. That's the most important information. Because you have a version currently deployed, you're trying to assess, do I need to get it now or can I wait for 2 months? You don't have to do any of the deployments or anything. You could go right here, look at the information and compare and contrast and decide. All right. And this is important for the planning exercise because deploying a plugin is basically changing the